In the heart of Ibadan, beneath the peaceful bells of Sunday morning service and the sweet smell of jollof rice floating from nearby kitchens, lived a girl whose life was wrapped in layers of secrets. Her name was Sandra Adedoyin Adebayo, a beautiful, soft-spoken 21-year-old student at the University of Ibadan. She was the type of girl the elderly women in church prayed their sons would marry, polite, modest, and always in the front row during Sunday worship. Sandra grew up in a modest household. Her father, Baba Ronk, was a retired civil servant now working part-time as a church accountant. Her mother, Aya Ronk, sold vegetables in Bodija market. Together, they raised their children with strict Christian values and firm discipline. Among her siblings, Sandra stood out, not just because of her beauty, but because of her devotion. Always quoting Bible verses, always leading youth prayers, always warning her peers about the way of the world. But if only they knew what she did after church. Behind her long skirts and gentle smiles was a girl battling poverty, shame, and temptation, alone. Her family didn't know that while she smiled through choir rehearsals, she cried herself to sleep in her hostel. They didn't know how unpaid fees and rising costs turned her from a praying daughter into a desperate one. It all started in her second year at the university. That was when Brother Samuel, her mentor from church, introduced her to a Christian fellowship in Lagos where she could make money and help the ministry. That was the beginning of the crack in her foundation. Sandra never imagined she would lie to her parents, sneak to Lagos on weekends, wear makeup they forbade, or change outfits inside club toilets. But she did. And every time she sinned, she begged God for forgiveness on the bus ride back to school. The guilt was heavy, but the hunger was heavier. She told herself it was temporary. Just until her final year. Just until her brother got a job. Just until she could repay her mother's loan. But temptation doesn't knock once. It moves in. Every Sunday morning, Sandra's smile could light up the whole church. She wore her white lace dress, her Bible pressed to her chest, her eyes closed in deep worship. People would nod and whisper to one another. That girl is a true daughter of Zion. The pastor often called her to lead the closing prayer. Let Sister Sandra pray for us, he would say. And she would walk up slowly, kneel down, and begin, Father Lord, we thank you for your mercy. Her voice always trembled like someone who had seen angels. But the truth was, her smile was a mask. That same Sunday morning, while people thought she had come from her hostel to church, Sandra had just arrived from Lagos on the night bus. Her wig was still stuffed in her handbag. Her real dress, the short, shiny one she wore in the club the night before, was hidden under the white wrapper in her bag. She had changed in the church toilet before service started. She was tired. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. But she knew how to fake holiness. The dramatic irony was deep. The same girl leading prayers had just danced in a VIP section of a club where drunk men sprayed her money like rain. The same girl who raised her hands in worship had wrapped those same hands around the waist of an old man in Lekki hours earlier. She hated herself for it. But she didn't know how to stop. It wasn't always like this. At first, Sandra said no. She told Brother Samuel, I can't do this. It's not right. But Samuel had smiled and said, Sister, even Esther in the Bible used beauty to win favor. Don't think too much. God sees your heart. That was the beginning of her fall. At first, it was just one trip. She went to Lagos, took pictures in nice clothes, came back with N80,000. She paid her hostel rent. Her mother didn't have to worry. She even gave offering in church. The money was sweet. But the shame was sour. She wanted to please everyone, her parents, her church, her school, and still survive. She wanted to be the good girl, the perfect example, the one who never failed. But good girls also get hungry. Good girls also cry in the dark. And when they are too ashamed to ask for help, they find help in dark places. She began to double life, saint by day, sinner by night. In school, she was still the leader of the church fellowship. In Lagos, she was known as Sandy Baby, one of the most in-demand girls at private events. Her roommate, Nike, suspected something. One day, Nike asked, "Sandra, where do you always go on weekends?" Sandra laughed. "I go for a youth retreat, Jay. You know I'm spiritual." Nike raised her eyebrow. "Which retreat comes back with iPhone 13 and new wigs?" Sandra forced a smile. "No God, oh." But even Nike couldn't deny it. Sandra always had money. New shoes. Paid bills. She even helped others with groceries. No one could accuse her of anything. She still came to church. She still fasted. She still posted Bible verses on her status, "The Lord is my shepherd," but deep down, Sandra was drowning. Each weekend chipped away at her soul. She hated the smell of alcohol on men's clothes. She hated the way their hands grabbed her like property. She hated the voice in her head that whispered, "You've already sinned. Why stop now?" She prayed every night after her trips. Sometimes she cried for hours. But in the morning, she would fix her wig, wear her church dress, and smile like nothing happened. She told herself, "God understands. I don't enjoy it. I just need to survive." But sin, no matter how small, always grows when hidden. And in Sandra's case, it was growing fast, dragging her deeper into a life she no longer recognized. She never asked for help. She never told her parents, her pastor, or even her best friend. She thought she was strong enough to carry it. But secrets are heavy. And Sandra's secret was becoming a burden her spirit could no longer carry. It was a hot Wednesday afternoon. Sandra had just finished her last class of the day. She was walking back to her hostel, tired and sweaty, with her lecture notes pressed under her arm. Her white blouse was sticking to her skin, and the sun was beating down like punishment. She reached her room, dropped her bag, and collapsed on the bed. "God, I beg. Just small breeze," she muttered, waving her notebook like a hand fan. Her roommate, Nike, was watching a Nollywood movie on her laptop and chewing groundnut. "You know say this your suffer no day show for Instagram," Nike joked. "You go post fine picture later and write, 'God has been faithful,' like say you no nearly faint for sun just now." Sandra laughed. "USCF. Must you drag me every time?" They both burst into laughter. For a moment, it felt like things were normal again. Sandra took her phone and opened WhatsApp. Messages were flooding in from the fellowship group chat, and one of the leaders was reminding her she would lead prayer on Friday. "Huh. Pastor Sandra," Nike teased. "Small time now, you go cast demon from person." "Better demon than poor man," Sandra shot back, giggling. But just as they laughed, Sandra's phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize, Lagos number. Her heart skipped. She stared at it, unsure whether to pick up. Nike noticed. "Why you dey look the phone like that? You dey old person." Sandra shook her head. "No. I just don't know who it is." She picked up slowly. "Hello." The voice on the other end was smooth and confident. Too smooth. "Hello, is this Sandy Baby?" Sandra froze. Her eyes darted to Nike. She stood up and walked to the corridor. "Please, don't call me that," she whispered. The man laughed. "Relax, now. It's me, Chief Danjuma. The one from last weekend at the beach house." Sandra's chest tightened. "Chief, I told you not to call me on this line." He laughed again. "Don't be dramatic. I just called to invite you for a special event in Abuja this weekend. Big money. Top politicians. You leave on Friday evening." "I can't," she said, voice shaky. "I have fellowship." I'm praying that day. Then pray for favor and come, he said, serious now. You need the money, don't you? I heard things are hard for you students. Come and collect your blessing. Before she could reply, he hung up. Sandra leaned against the wall. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. Nike shouted from inside. Who be that? Your long-lost uncle from Banana Island. Sandra forced a laugh. Just one person asking for directions. NN. No, so them they direct person go Abuja. Sandra returned inside, smiling faintly, but inside, she was panicking. How did Chief Danjuma get her real number? Why did he call her now, just when she was trying to stay clean? She had told herself she would stop. She had already skipped 2 Lagos trips. She even joined extra prayer meetings. But now, temptation was knocking again. And this time, it came with Abuja and big money. That night, Sandra couldn't sleep. She turned side to side on her bed while Nike snored beside her. If I go, she thought, I can pay my project supervisor, buy mom's BP drugs, and even pay tithe. I'll ask for forgiveness again. But another voice inside whispered, you said that last time. The next day, Sandra went to church fellowship. As usual, she led prayers. Her voice was loud, her hands lifted. But her heart was elsewhere. As she closed her eyes, she saw Chief Danjuma's face. As she opened her mouth to pray, her mind was calculating hotel rooms and flight time. After the service, Brother Tond, the fellowship president, called her aside. Sister Sandra, you've been such a blessing to this fellowship, he said, smiling. Sandra smiled politely. Thank you, sir. In fact, he continued, we want you to lead this Sunday's youth service. We believe you have a message from God. Sandra's smile dropped for a second. Her lips still moved. Wow. That's an honor, but her stomach was twisting. Sunday service and Abuja trip were on the same weekend. She was trapped. She got back to her hostel and dropped on her bed like a bag of beans. Nike looked up from her phone. Waiting, do you? You look like somebody that drank expired Zobo. Sandra sighed. Life, my sister. Nike stood up and started dancing like a mad person. See, if na life they press you, press and back. You're a strong, independent woman. Small problem no go kill you. Sandra laughed so hard she almost cried. But even in that moment of humor, the reality was waiting in the corner of her heart. She had to choose between duty and desire, purity and money, peace and shame. And the clock was ticking. Saturday night. Abuja. Boost 2. The hotel room was cold. The air conditioner hummed quietly, but Sandra's heart was louder. She sat at the edge of the king-size bed, wearing a red dress that hugged her body like guilt. Her makeup was perfect. Her hair was laid. Her smile? Missing. Her phone buzzed again. Message from Nike, where are you? Ton was asking after you. They announced you lead youth service tomorrow. Sandra turned the phone face down. She didn't reply. She had lied. She told Nike she was going to see her aunt in Lagos. She told the fellowship leaders her aunt was sick and she had to be with her. She even called her mother and said, Mommy, pray for me. I'm going through some things. Everyone believed her. After all, she was Sandra, the church girl, the prayer warrior, the role model. If only they knew. Suddenly, the door opened. Chief Danjuma entered, wearing a white kaftan and gold wristwatch. He looked at her like she was something he had already bought. Something he owned. Oh, my Sandy baby. You look like temptation itself, he smiled, walking toward her. Sandra stood up. She forced a smile, but her body felt numb. As he sat beside her, his hand touched her thigh. She flinched. He paused. What is it? You're acting like it's your first time. Sandra turned away. Chief, I'm not feeling okay tonight. He scoffed. That's not what you said last time. Don't waste my money, oh. Then he stood, poured himself a drink, and sat back on the couch. Your flight is tomorrow afternoon, he said casually. I've sent you N250K already. Just behave well tonight. Sandra nodded slowly, her heart breaking. She walked into the bathroom and locked the door. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her reflection stared back, tired eyes, shaking lips, a shadow of the girl she used to be. What am I doing? She whispered. Tears rolled down her face. She dropped to her knees on the cold tiles. God, I'm sorry, she cried. Please take me away from this life. But there was no answer. Just silence and her own sobbing. The next morning, Sunday in Ibadan. Inside church, the choir was singing. Nike looked at the empty seat in front where Sandra usually sat. She leaned toward Ton. Have you heard from Sandra? Ton shook his head. No. Her number is not going through. They waited. They prayed. They called her again. Nothing. Meanwhile, back in Abuja, Sandra was on the plane. She sat by the window, face pale, lips dry. Her phone was off. She felt empty. She had done it again. She looked outside the window and whispered, God, forgive me. I just want peace. Sandra returned to school Monday morning. She looked sick. Even Nike noticed. You look like somebody that quarreled with her destiny. Are you okay? Sandra forced a laugh. Just tired. That evening, she got a call from an unknown number. A woman's voice. Hello, is this Sandra Adebayo? Yes, who's speaking? This is from the office of the SSG. Please be informed that Chief Danjuma was arrested today. Sandra froze. For what? She asked, her throat dry. The woman answered calmly, for human trafficking and involvement in a prostitution ring. We're investigating all his past contacts. Sandra's knees buckled. She sat on the floor. Madam, the woman said. We'll be inviting you for questioning. Sandra ended the call. Nike entered and found her crying on the floor. What happened? She rushed over. Sandra couldn't speak. She just cried and cried. Days passed. News broke. It spread fast, on blogs, Twitter, even the fellowship WhatsApp group. Chief Danjuma caught with university girls in sex trafficking scandal. Top church girl, Sandra Adebayo, named among victims. People talked. They gossiped. They shared her pictures, one from a church program, one from a club in Lagos. The difference was painful. Her pastor called her parents. Her father fainted. Her mother wept in front of neighbors. Not my daughter. Not our Sandra. School suspended her. Church disowned her. And Sandra. She disappeared. Under a bridge in Lagos, beside a row of street hawkers and beggars, a girl sat quietly with a wrapper tied around her chest. Her hair was rough. Her eyes were empty. Her soul crushed. It was Sandra. She had nothing left. No school. No church. No friends. No family. Only regret. A little boy ran past, holding Puff Puff in a nylon. Sandra looked at him and smiled faintly. She opened her bag. Inside it was a worn-out Bible. She opened to Psalms and whispered, "The Lord is close to the broken-hearted," but even her voice was tired. Sandra's story was not just about sin. It was about silence. She was drowning, but no one saw it, because she smiled too well. If only someone had asked the right questions. If only she had opened up. If only she trusted someone enough to say, "I'm not okay." The world judged her by her Sunday dress, but never saw her Saturday pain. And now they knew what she did after church. But it was too late.